Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night to find your cat's paw resting gently on your arm, your hand, or your face? Most owners barely register it, half asleep, and just shift position without thinking twice. But that small, quiet gesture, a paw placed deliberately on you in the dark, is one of the most specific and meaningful things your cat is capable of doing. It's not an accident of them getting comfortable. It's not random shifting in their sleep. It's a message, delivered in the one language your cat has, that doesn't require you to be awake to receive it. These 7 reasons explain exactly what's happening every time your cat reaches out and rests their paw on you at night. But the 7th one explains something almost no owner realizes, because it reveals that this specific gesture is something your cat has never done with anyone else, and never will. Let's start with the most basic explanation first. 1. It's how they confirm you're still there without fully waking up. Cats sleep in cycles very different from ours, drifting between light rest and deeper sleep multiple times throughout the night, surfacing briefly again and again. Each time your cat surfaces from one of those light periods, especially if you've shifted position or gone quiet for a while, some part of their brain runs a quick automatic check. Is the warm, familiar presence I fell asleep next to still here? For a fully awake cat, that check might involve opening their eyes, lifting their head, actually looking at you. But in that hazy, half-asleep state, a much smaller, lower-effort action does the same job. A paw extended just far enough to make contact confirms your presence through touch alone, without requiring your cat to fully wake up or open their eyes. If they feel you there, warm and breathing, the check is complete, and they can sink back into deeper sleep immediately, reassured. This is part of why the paw contact often happens during transitional moments in the night, right as your cat is drifting off, or right as they're stirring between sleep cycles, rather than in the middle of deep, motionless rest. It's not a conscious decision made with full awareness. It's closer to a sleepy, automatic reflex, one built entirely around staying connected to you, even while mostly unconscious. 2. Paw pads carry scent, and touching you resets it through the night. Cats have scent glands concentrated in their paw pads, and every time a paw makes contact with something, a small trace of their scent transfers onto it. This is part of why cats why they press their paws against furniture, and it plays a role here too, even during something as simple as resting a paw on you while you sleep. Throughout a normal day, you move through the world touching countless surfaces, washing your hands, changing clothes, coming into contact with other people or environments. All of that activity gradually dilutes whatever scent marking happened earlier. Nighttime, when you're finally still for hours at a stretch, offers your cat an extended, uninterrupted opportunity to reinforce that scent connection in a way the busy hours of the day simply don't allow. A paw resting against your skin for an extended period overnight isn't just physical contact, it's a slow, continuous scent exchange, happening while you're both still and undistracted. By morning, in a very real sense, you smell a little more like your cat than you did the night before, and your cat smells a little more like you. Neither of you can consciously detect this happening, but it's part of what quietly reinforces the bond between you, night after night, without either of you doing anything active about it. 3. It's a leftover survival behavior from sleeping in groups. Wild and feral cats who live in colonies rarely sleep completely alone when they have the option not to. Group sleeping offers real survival advantages, shared body heat, and critically, an early warning system. If one member of a resting group stirs, startles, or reacts to something, that small movement can alert the others before a threat has time to fully develop. Physical contact during group sleep, a paw touching another cat's body, tails overlapping, bodies pressed together, isn't just about comfort. It's a low-effort way of staying informed about the state of the group, even while unconscious. If the cat you're touching suddenly tenses or moves sharply, you feel it immediately, even through sleep, and your own alertness spikes in response. Domestic cats, sleeping beside their owner instead of a colony, still carry this same underlying wiring. When your cat rests a paw on you overnight, they may partly be maintaining that same ancient, low-effort connection, a physical link that would immediately alert them if something changed in your state while you're both vulnerable and unconscious. You've effectively become their sleeping group of one, and the paw on your arm is the same instinctive tether a cat would once have maintained with a trusted colony member. 4. The specific spot they choose to touch isn't random either. Pay attention over time, and you'll likely notice your cat doesn't place their paw just anywhere. Some cats consistently reach for a hand. Others prefer resting a paw against a cheek, a shoulder, or directly over a chest. These preferences tend to be remarkably consistent for an individual cat, and the location often carries its own small piece of meaning. A paw placed near your face or head is frequently associated with cats who are highly attuned to breathing and small movements, since this is one of the most sensitive, expressive areas of your body, and touching it gives the most direct, immediate feedback about your state. A paw resting on a hand often shows up in cats who have a strong association between that specific body part and positive interaction, since hands are typically what feed them, pet them, and initiate most of their daytime affection. A paw against the chest, closer to your heartbeat, may reflect a cat who's especially tuned into rhythm and steady, repetitive sensation, similar to what draws some cats toward kneading or purring against a warm body. None of these preferences are universal rules, but the consistency within an individual cat is rarely accidental. If you've noticed your own cat always seems to gravitate toward the same specific spot, that pattern likely reflects something specific about what feels most reassuring and informative to them, built up through repetition over the entire time you've slept near each other. 5. It only happens with cats who feel completely secure in your presence. This is worth sitting with for a moment. A cat who doesn't fully trust the person they're sleeping near will rarely, if ever, initiate this kind of vulnerable, unguarded physical contact during sleep. Reaching out during a state of reduced awareness requires a level of comfort that simply doesn't exist in a cat who's still assessing whether their environment or the person in it is fully safe. This is why paw contact during sleep tends to develop gradually rather than appearing immediately in a new cat-owner relationship. A newly adopted cat, or one still building trust, is far more likely to sleep at a physical distance for the first weeks or months, keeping space between themselves and their new owner, even if they've clearly bonded in other ways during waking hours. The paw-on-you behavior tends to emerge specifically once a deeper layer of trust has fully settled in, once your cat's nervous system has decided that being physically vulnerable and unaware right next to you carries no real risk at all. If your cat has recently started doing this after not doing it before, that's genuinely meaningful. It's not a small shift. It represents your cat crossing an internal threshold from generally trusting you to specifically trusting you enough to be defenseless beside you for hours at a time, night after night. If any of this is making you look at your cat a little differently the next time you wake up to a paw resting on you, tap that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps us reach more cat owners who want to understand what's actually happening in these small, quiet, easy-to-miss moments. 6. Losing contact during the night can genuinely disrupt their sleep too. Here's something most owners never consider. If you shift positions in your sleep, roll away, or pull your arm back, breaking that physical contact, it's common for a cat to notice and re-establish it, sometimes repeatedly throughout the same night, without either of you ever fully waking up to register it happening. This isn't neediness in the way that word usually gets used. It reflects how deeply that physical connection has become woven into your cat's actual sleep architecture, the pattern their body has learned to associate with a full, uninterrupted rest cycle. Just as you might sleep more restlessly in an unfamiliar bed, or without a normal pillow, a cat accustomed to nightly physical contact with their owner may genuinely sleep lighter or wake more frequently on nights where that contact doesn't happen at all, whether you're away or simply sleeping in a different position than usual. This is part of why some cats seem persistent about repositioning themselves throughout the night specifically to maintain contact, resettling a paw, shifting position to lean against you again, climbing back into range if they've drifted apart during a restless stretch. It's not about controlling you. It's their version of maintaining the exact sleep conditions their body has come to associate with feeling safe enough to fully rest. 7. This specific gesture is something they will never do with anyone else. Remember at the start, when I said this reveals something almost no owner realizes? Here it is. The particular combination of behaviors involved in this gesture, choosing to sleep beside a specific individual, developing enough trust to enter unguarded sleep near them, and then specifically maintaining physical contact through the night as a form of unconscious reassurance, isn't a general cat behavior applied equally to everyone in a household. It's built, individually and specifically, around one particular relationship. Multi-cat, multi-person households often make this especially visible. A cat may sleep in the same room as several people or animals they're perfectly comfortable around during the day, yet only ever initiate that specific paw-on-you contact with one individual, night after night, while remaining physically separate from everyone else in the room. That's not coincidence, and it's not simply about who happens to be closest when they fall asleep. It reflects a very specific, very individual threshold of trust that gets crossed with exactly one person, built through the unique accumulated history the two of you share. If you were to leave, and someone else who loves your cat just as much took over the same bed, the same room, the same routine, that specific gesture wouldn't simply transfer over automatically. It would have to be built again, slowly, from scratch, through an entirely new accumulation of nights and trust, with no guarantee it would ever develop in quite the same way. What your cat does with you at 3 in the morning, half asleep, reaching a paw out just far enough to touch you, only happened because of the exact history the two of you built together, and it exists nowhere else in their entire life. So the next time you wake up in the dark to find a small paw resting against you, don't shift away too quickly. That tiny, half-conscious gesture is one of the purest forms of trust your cat has to offer, offered specifically and only to you, in the one part of the day when they have absolutely nothing to gain from pretending.